You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Avant versus Hatton.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Avant, you petitioned the court for a DNA test to determine if you are the father of your ex-fiancée, Miss Hatton's 13-month-old daughter, Jamethia. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
You're certain Miss Hatton has been deceiving you for over 2 years, and your biggest fear is that today you will walk out of this court without a daughter.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Miss Hatton, you are positive Mr. Avant is Jamethia's father and are hoping the DNA results will piece your family back together.
Yes, Your Honor. So,
Mr. Avant, how have your doubts affected your family?
It has affected my family tremendously, Your Honor. Me and Miss Hatton was engaged to get married. We eventually called it off. I'm connected to Jamethia like no other way. I have her name tattooed on my right arm on the inside of it. I've been in Jamethia's life since she's been born. When Miss Hatton told me she was pregnant, I asked her then, are you sure?
No, he did not.
I did too.
He didn't.
She stated yes. Who else would it be? Me and Miss Hatton eventually moved in together, and when we was living together, I started hearing stuff that it may not be mine. There's a possibility it could be somebody else's.
True.
And I've heard this personally from her family.
Someone in her family told
Yes.
you that Jamethia may not be your child?
Yes.
Who in my family would say something like that?
I was told that it was a possibility that she might have had sex with somebody else. I also found messages in her phone showing that she was talking to her ex and telling him that they was gonna be together, she loved him. So this is an issue for me, because we're constantly going back and forth where she's talking to her ex and he is thinking that the baby is his. And at the same time, you're telling me that the baby is
Your
mine.
Honor, that is not even how.
We're living together as well, Your Honor, and she's telling me that why am I worried about the situation when I found the text messages and I questioned her about it.
He did not question me.
And Miss Hatton said, why are you worried about the messages? I lay with you every night. And I said, yeah, this is true.
That is not even
But at the
how
same
this came
time that you're
about.
laying
Not
with
at
me
all.
every night, you're telling him
Not at all.
that
Your
y'all
Honor,
are going to be together, that you love him.
Your Honor, that is not even how this
Okay, let me give you a chance to respond, Miss Hatton. You're saying that none of what he's saying is true.
Right.
And what's the truth as it...
When it came up to me being pregnant, I lived with my aunt. Jamal came over that day because we took multiple tests to figure out, okay, I am pregnant.
This other guy, was he in the picture?
No, he wasn't in the picture. He was around asking about the baby. Are you guys gonna let me come and actually go to the doctor since this is a possibility that I could be the father of her?
And how did you respond?
I told him I would talk to Jamal about it. Whenever I talked to Mr. Avant about it, he would go off about it. He's like, he doesn't need to be here.
Let me understand this. Now you're standing in court and you're saying you are 100% sure that Mr. Avant is Jamethia's father.
I am.
How are you 100% sure if you admit that there was another man involved?
Yes, the other man that was involved, me and him hadn't had unprotected sex since September. Me and Mr. Avant had, the first time we had sex was in October.
Was the 11th of October to be exact. And when we had sex on the 11th of October, at that time, we did have unprotected sex.
Yes, we did.
A couple of weeks later, Mrs. Hatton is saying that she's pregnant.
Mr. Avant was on the phone with me when I found out I was pregnant. He was the first person to know about it.
And so, okay. So, Mr. Avant, at what point did you really begin to doubt?
I started to doubt in the beginning. And then I started to doubt more after I started hearing stuff from her family saying that she's not trustworthy, that some of the stuff she say is not true. It came up a point that the doctor, the first OBGYN, had gave us a first due date. That first due date was July around the 14th. She ended up switching OBGYNs and going into a new one. The new OBGYN said the date was going to be August 25th.
That is so not true.
That's a whole 5-week window.
Not even true.
Wow, you got two different due dates that far apart?
Yes, but on the birth certificate, my daughter was born July the 16th. Now, my mom said, give or take days
evidence of that.
Of it.
Let me see that evidence. Jerome, will you pass that to me, please? So let me understand your evidence. You have presented a calendar to the court that shows what the first due date was supposed to be. It was supposed to be July 16th.
Correct.
And then you say the due date was revised
to the 25th,
of August.
It was revised to the 25th of August.
That is completely off.
The new OBGYN also explained that your conception date didn't add up as well.
No, she said the estimated date that I put as my last menstrual period changed my due date from the 14th of July to the 25th.
Hold on, let me figure this out with my conception calculator. When do you believe you conceived Jamethia? What date?
In October, around like the 13th. It was weeks before my birthday because he said that he wanted me to spend my birthday with him.
And so you think you conceived on October 13th.
Yes.
And
All
if
right.
she conceived on October 13th, it takes
Somewhere
7
in that area.
days for the sperm to reach the
Not
egg
the
to
exact
fertilize.
day, not October 13th, the exact
It
day.
takes a total of 7 days to conceive. if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
it does,
Okay.
but if we
Do
had
you,
unprotected
okay,
sex
listen.
on the 13th,
listen,
there is a possibility
Mr. Avant,
that
do
your child.
you remember being intimate with Miss Hatton around October 13th?
I had sex with Miss Hatton on the 11th of October. I know for a fact.
On the 11th?
Yes.
All
How do
right,
you know
so
that
she
for a
remembers
fact?
I got
13th.
paid from work the exact same day. that they
Okay,
made
what does
her
that have
have
to do
sex.
with anything?
I mean, I can
That
add
has
my
nothing
dates
to do with
up
nothing.
because at the same time,
That has nothing
me
to
and
do with
her
nothing.
went out. I ordered food for us when she came over that day. She spent the majority of the day with me on the
Okay,
11th
that has
and went
nothing to do
home
with
that
nothing.
night, and I paid for her to get on the bus that night to go back to her auntie's house.
So if we hit calculate, you get the birth date should be July 16th, 2014. When was Jamethia born?
That
July
exact same
16th,
day.
2014, I have her birth certificate. Would you like to see it, Your
Yes,
Honor?
I would.
She was born July 16, 2014. She was also born around that time because we was trying to break Mrs. Hatton water to go ahead and get Jamethia's hair. And what I mean by we was trying to break her water, we was having sex. She tried castor oil. She was eating spicy food. I even scraped the cervix to try to break
Not
her
true.
water.
Not true, Your Honor.
This is true.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
The day that she went into labor, she woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I jumped up instantly, and we went to the hospital. And then at the hospital, we was informed, yes, you are really in labor. Her doctor even came in and said, well, I guess your labor is going to be early. I guess we won't have to wait.
No, she did not say that my labor was going to be early. She said, okay, she's about to come. My doctor didn't even come in to actually deliver my child until my child was almost here. It was Mr. Avant and another nurse that stood there the whole time coaching me until my doctor arrived in the room.
Really, it was me that was coaching, Your Honor. Every time she would have a contraction, I would tell Mrs. Hatton to push so we can go ahead and get Jamethia here.
Yes, he did do that.
All right, so first of all, this evidence you presented is the birth certificate.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And she was born on the 16th of July.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's your proof.
Yes.
The conception date matches the due date.
Yes, Your Honor.
If we look at your calendar, Mr. Avant, you think that her revised due date was still the 25th.
Correct.
And you feel like the castor oil, all of the
Experiments
maneuvers
we
you
was
were
doing.
doing to try to get the baby to come,
Nothing was working.
made the baby come quicker.
Yes.
So
Not
you
true, Your
believe
Honor.
she really wasn't due until
August.
August.
Not true, Your Honor. My daughter got the 25th due date because she was small. The time I was 6 months, my daughter only weighed 3 pounds. So they told me, okay, we're gonna have to give you an emergency C-section if your daughter doesn't gain any weight. They switched my due date to the 25th because they said that she was too small to be the size that she needed to be during the window that she was supposed to be born. She gained the weight that she needed by the time that I went back to the doctor, and I was able to continue out carrying her through the full term.
What's interesting as well is you handed up the birth certificate and his name is on it.
He actually, Your Honor,
I
he
filled
filled
out all
out
the
the birth
paperwork.
certificate himself. I didn't see the birth certificate until I purchased it.
Your
Mr.
Honor, that's not
Avant
true.
signed it.
Because
he,
when
he
Miss
wrote it out, everything.
when the paperwork was presented to us for the birth certificate and also for the legitimization paperwork, I asked Miss Hatton, did you want to fill it out or do you want me to?
At this
She
time, I
"You
said,
can
I
go
will
ahead."
let my aunt fill it out. He said, no,
She
I
said,
want to
either
fill it
you
out.
can fill it out or I can let my auntie fill it out when she come back up.
No, I did not.
And so I filled it
But
out.
if you had a doubt, why sign?
Exactly. Why sign the birth certificate? Why
Because
did you get
I
her
was-
name tattooed on you? Why have you been here this whole time? In the beginning,
Because
Your
I've
Honor, I
been
told him
connected
from
to
day one,
Jamethia.
if he
It's
felt like it
not
wasn't
about-
his, he didn't
now
have
it's
to
not
be
about
there.
me and Miss Hatton. It's about Jamethia.
It is.
I've been in Jamethia's life before she was born. And I'm still here. I'm connected to Jamethia. So it's gonna be hard for me to leave Jamethia. She had a friend take a picture of our daughter. When she was sitting in her car seat, she was smiling, cheesing real hard. He then took a picture as well with him smiling and cheesing real hard and posted it. What do you think about my baby?
No, that is not
It
what
got
he said.
a lot of likes
No,
on Instagram.
no.
It did.
That is not what
To
he
the
said.
point where Miss Hatton told me when I got home and I said,
Jamal
and I
was sitting
spazzed, and I
right
said,
there in the
why?
house.
No,
One at a time, one at
I
a
had
time.
just got
So
home
you
from
see
work.
this photo on Instagram, it's
doesn't
getting a
see
lot
it.
of likes, and it's the baby you have signed the birth certificate.
Yes.
It's
And
your
another
child, your legal child,
Yes.
whether or not it's your biological child or not.
Yes.
You're looking at your baby, Jamethia,
Yes.
and another man,
Yes, Your Honor.
and he's saying, what do you think about my baby?
Yes,
no,
Your Honor.
that is not
And
what
the
the picture
picture got-
stated.
the pictures
comment
got a
under
lot
the
of
picture
likes.
are saying, do they look alike? A lot of people said, well, they look like this because
No,
they're
not a
both
lot of
this.
people.
A lot of people
Majority.
said, no, they do not look alike, but she looks exactly like him.
But why, Miss Hatton, why would you let someone post that
I didn't
picture?
let anybody post
She
the
did,
picture.
Your Honor,
When
and
they
as a matter of
posted
fact,
the picture, me and
that's
Mr.
not true.
Avant were sitting at home on the sofa. He was like, "Babe, what you looking at?" I said, "I'm looking at this." I said, "Look at this. Look what he posted on Instagram." He
And
was
I
like,
spazzed,
"Really?
Your Honor.
Why are you letting him do that? Why are you letting him do that?" I
'Cause
told
what-
him to take it down.
what
What
is
he
the
said
purpose?
is Jamal shouldn't be so insecure when he knows it's his baby. Is what he said.
What is the purpose?
They look exactly
Regardless
alike.
of whether the fact that's my
Everything
baby or
about
not.
them looks just
What
alike.
is the
Your Honor,
purpose?
can I show
One at a
you?
time. Just, I need
Can I
you
show
all
you
to
the
talk
picture?
one at a time.
Yes, Your Honor, I do apologize.
Your Honor, may I please show you the evidence of Mr.
Did anybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I can't hear both of you when you're talking at one time, and I'm trying to understand the evidence you want to present.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're saying you saw this picture,
Yes, Your Honor.
and she did ask this person to take it down.
After I got upset, Your Honor. When I got upset and said something about it, because why is he posting a picture of my baby and him side by side and he's done nothing for her? This is not a funny situation to me. I'm already having problems with is you and your ex saying that it might be his. Now it's another dude and he got a picture and they look similar. I can't deny it.
They
If you
look
look at the
nothing
picture,
alike.
from the cheekbones to the nose, even people that commented said the same thing.
Jamaica.
I have my reason for having doubts, Your Honor.
When you're in a committed relationship with somebody or you're engaged to them or you are about to marry this person, there's no need for you to get a DNA test every time you have a child if you feel like it's yours.
No, you're right. There's no need. Miss Hatton is right. There's no need to have a DNA test every time you have a child. But there is a need to have a DNA test when you're not sure and you're telling other people that they're possibly liable to be the father.
Okay, I already
at the
understood
same-
that. I already told him that from the beginning.
And at that, but I was over the road late February, early March. I'm a truck driver. When I was over the road, Mrs. Hatton took our daughter, Jamethia, to see her ex.
No, I did
The
not,
other
Your
dude
Honor.
who's supposed to be the dad. How do I know this? Because I heard it from the cow's mouth himself. He called me and said this.
No, that is not true. That is definitely not true.
And said
So you
she
didn't
brought
take the
Excuse me.
child to see?
No, I did not take her to see him. Him and his best friend came to my house because he said, I wanted to see her. Since nobody
That's not
got
true,
their
Your Honor.
DNA test together.
That's not true, Your Honor.
It
The
is.
truth
It
of the
is.
story, a friend of hers had came around and spent time with them. Her and the girl eventually went over to this dude's neighborhood and seen him. And he said, and this is what he told me. He said, why are you bringing her to see me now? And you ain't brought her by and she done been alive this whole time. So
Your
why
Honor,
are
this
you
is not
taking,
true.
first and foremost, why are you taking her over there behind my back? You could have took her over there when I was home. You could
So you believe she was sneaking around once you were on the road, taking Jamethia to see another potential father?
Correct.
You say that's not true. You say they came over to your house to see the baby.
Yeah, they came over my house. He said, okay, so when are we gonna get this DNA test done? Since Mr. Avant contacted him, they spent hours on the phone. Him and Jamethia look just alike. I have evidence here to show that they look just alike.
Let me see that evidence.
From the way that they smile, they have the same dimples, everything.
This is a
Their
picture
hairline
of what?
looks just
Please
alike.
tell me, Miss Hatton.
Of Mr. Avant and Jamethia. They look exactly alike, overall, everything.
It's a picture of Mr. Avant on the left and Jamethia on the right.
Yes, Mr. Avant has dimples and so does Jamethia. And those are a picture of their ears, which I never really paid attention to till we took the picture of it. And their hairlines.
I have-
When Mr. Avant let
have
his hair
receding
grows
hairline,
out,
Your Honor,
he
so-
does have a receiving hairline just like my daughter. From the way that it curves all the way out to the way that it goes in on both sides, it's exactly alike.
So when you look at these pictures and you look at them,
I see
you have
Mr.
no doubt.
None. None whatsoever.
You know that's his child.
Yes, ma'am.
When you look at the pictures, Mr. Avant, are you certain?
I'm not, Your Honor. I feel, and like I told Miss Hatton from the beginning, I've said she's mine. I've never denied that she was mine. But seeing things and hearing things, it makes you question and it makes you wonder. And it makes you want to really know the answers and the truth.
You say your greatest fear is you leave this courtroom today without a daughter because you love this little girl.
Yes, that's true.
So if you're not Jamethia's biological father, will you stay in the child's life or will you just move on?
At this time, Your Honor, I honestly can say I'm not sure. It's gonna hurt me if she's not mine. But it's also a ripple effect because now I have to go back to my son and tell him, you ain't got a sister. You still the only child. I now have to also sit back and, you know what I'm saying, my parents are not gonna say nothing, but they're gonna be like, they're gonna be supportive because now I know the truth.
I think it's time for the results. Jerome? Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Avant versus Hatton, pertaining to 13-month-old Jamethia Avant, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Avant, you are not Jamethia's father.
Oh my God.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Avant.
It's all right.
Nah, man, it's not all right.
Yes, it
I've
is.
been there.
It's all right.
It hurt.
It's all right. I'm sorry. I don't want to see you cry. I don't want to see you hurt. Nothing like that. We both knew that this
Yeah,
could
we spoke
possibly
about
be
this,
it.
but the truth is, though, at the same time, you kept saying, yes, this is your baby.
In my mind, it was no doubt about it. But at the same time, you knew how everything started and where it ended at.
But Ms. Hatton, you did stand in court today and say you are 100% sure.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I think that gave him a false sense of security. Ms. Hatton, Jamethia's biological father, do you know who it is?
Mm-hmm. The only other person that we were talking about in this situation.
Do they want to be a part of her life?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And that's what's unfortunate, because you have a man here that came into court hoping that he was this child's father, signed the birth certificate, has been there for her, loves her. Mr. Avant, is it your intention to still be a part of her life?
Yes, I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, Ms. Hatton, I hope that you will talk to this other young man. Focus on her, okay? Because she has the right to know. I wish you the very best of luck. Court is adjourned.